Hello, welcome to the Butler Collegian Newscast. I'm Catalina Gallegos. After the CDC added Italy to a list of countries to avoid during the coronavirus, Butler University informed students that they will no longer support their travel abroad to Italy in an email this past Saturday. The 12 students in the program have been ordered to leave Italy by March 4th. Some of the students have made plans to stay in Europe for the semester and continue courses online. Butler University junior Katie Conlon is in the program and says she has felt flustered during the past 72 hours just trying to book flights to get out of Italy. However, for the students who plan to return to campus, they must self-quarantine themselves for 2 weeks before returning to Butler. The university says they will take this as a case-by-case situation. Assistant Director of Multicultural Programs and Services, Talia Anguiano, is leaving the university on Friday to take a job in Chicago. In April, Butler created 3 positions within the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. 2 of 3 people in these positions at the beginning of the school year are no longer at the university. Vice President, Student Affairs, Frank Ross says the Office of Student Affairs is currently reviewing the job description for the 2 vacant positions. The goal is to fill both positions by July. Now Chelsea Groves is in the studio with our guest for the week, Meghan Stratton. Over to you, Chelsea.
Thanks, Catalina. Hey guys, I'm joined by the managing editor of the Butler Collegian, Meghan Stratton, and she's here to talk about her article that talks about the Butler Hospitality House, a mansion by South Campus. So I'm really curious, for those of us that don't know anything about this, what does it look like on the inside and the outside?
Yeah, so one day last semester when I was driving by on 42nd Street, this gorgeous mansion caught the corner of my eye. And so it is a huge English colonial style home. So it's got red brick and huge white pillars on the outside, as well as some white siding on the sides. And then, I had the opportunity to take a home tour last week and with Chandler Swartzel, who's the event manager at Butler. So he kind of takes control of the house. It's his baby project, as he calls it. And on the inside is like a grand staircase that's really impressive. And then there are communal rooms for guests on the ground floor. So there's a dining room, a kitchen, kind of a living space. And then the upstairs are all renovated bedrooms.
You mentioned how guests stay in this mansion. Who is known for typically staying here?
Yeah, so when Butler bought a significant portion of the land in 2018, that opened up the house to any guests of the Butler community, any guests of the CTS community, as well as the larger Indianapolis community. So all of those people can make reservations to stay overnight at the hospitality house, anywhere from 1 night to a week to more of an extended stay.
When you and I spoke about the article, just when you were writing it in general, you said that you admired the historical aspect of this entire thing. So what do you admire the most about it?
Yeah, so this home was built in 1929, so it's 91 years old, and it's been through a lot of different periods in its lifetime. It was actually built as a wedding present, believe it or not. So this family, the Holiday family, had 5 mansions of similar styles all on that plot of land, and they called the little town Shooter's Hill. So that lasted from about the 20s to the early 50s, and then it actually became a fraternity house. Which is just a fun little tidbit of information. And then after that, it sat unattended for a little bit. And then CTS decided to bulldoze some of the other mansions on the Shooters Hill property, but saved the hospitality house and decided to make it overnight accommodations for the CTS students. And then Butler bought it in 2018, and here we are.
Wow, I want to go check it out now, seriously.
Yeah.
I've been over in that area, but I've probably been by that. I honestly want to go look at it now.
Yeah.
Meghan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Catalina, back to you.
Thanks, Chelsea. We'll catch up with you again later. Naptown Thrift, a popular thrift shop among Butler students, has reopened. In October last year, the store was forced to close after an electrical fire that happened next door. Now, nearly 4 months later, the doors are open for you to get some unique vintage finds. At the grand opening on Saturday, there was a line that wrapped around the block full of excited customers. Butler grad and owner of Naptown, Aaron Marshall, hopes that the opening success will continue. Butler's Counseling and Consultation Services offers a number of support groups for students, including one focused on sexual assault. The support group has been around for multiple years, but this is the first time it is being advertised and actively promoted. Jules Arthur Grable, Butler's sexual assault response and prevention specialist, says, quote, "We're pushing this now because we feel that there is a need for survivors to have another source or outlet to talk about their experiences and maybe feel that they're not alone," end quote. The group runs from 2 to 3:30 on Monday afternoons. Students interested in attending a session must meet with Arthur Grable or a counselor first to ensure the group's confidentiality. Next, Kat and Bree is here to talk about upcoming spring break in this week's edition of Kat's Corner.
As I'm sure all of you all know, it's spring break here at Butler next week, which is very exciting. Students are getting ready to relax, or in some cases, jet off to not so relaxing vacations. Here are my tips for getting the most out of your spring break, staying safe while doing so. Firstly, maybe you still haven't booked anything and you're completely lost as to what to do or where to go. You have left it late, but there are still lots of options. Lots of websites offer major discounts for last-minute bookings, both on flights and accommodation. Also, have a look at sites that offer you a student discount to really get more bang for your buck. Websites I like for this are Travelzoo and Kayak. Secondly, I recommend getting off the beaten path. Lots of spring breaks are in resorts or hotels, which is brilliant, but maybe take an afternoon away from the pool, maybe for a bike ride or a wander around the local town. It's a great way to unwind and see where you're staying. Thirdly, tips about staying safe. I'm sure a lot of you already know all of the things like sunscreen, ocean awareness, and drinking safely. But maybe have a read up on all that stuff before you fly. What does your travel insurance cover you for? Chances are it doesn't cover you for things like extreme sports. So if you're doing bungee jumping or something equally insane, you might need an upgrade on your travel insurance. Lots of policies also require you to carry a copy of your ID, so it's really worth checking before you go. Wherever you spend your break, have a great time, and I hope it's a fun and safe time. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Kat. Now for this week's sports update, Jake Bedell is here. What's going on, Jake?
Catalina, I'll put it simple. Saturday night was fun. The Bulldogs had nearly a week off following their third straight loss against Creighton on February 23rd. Saturday, they came home refreshed and hungry for a win, but before all the action could go down, a moment for the history books. The ceremonial transferring of the collar from Trip to Butler Blue 4. The next generation of the Butler Bulldogs is now officially a member of the live mascot program. Dogs looking to open up the game. Kamar Baldwin finds a lane, done proper. This would open up a 16-4 run for Butler to start it off midway through the first. Baldwin again. Nope, that's not an instant replay. That's a three-point play. But DePaul climbed back into this one. Butler up only 5 now. McDermott knocks it down from deep. He had 11 in the opening 20. Take things to the second half. Tucker for 3 and the foul. The Dogs begin to pull away in this one. Great defensive effort by Butler. DePaul only shot 1 of 12 from beyond the arc. Three-pointers, a big reason the Blue Demons won in the last meeting. Butler edges out DePaul 60-42 at home. The seniors only have one more game inside Hinkle. St. John's comes to town on Wednesday night. Baldwin, McDermott, Henry Badley, and Derek Smits will all look to cherish the final matchup and go out on a high note before a road game against Xavier to close out the regular season before the Big East tournament in New York. To break down Butler's status heading into their final games of the season, Chelsea Groves joins us now for another edition of the Collegian Basketball Breakdown.
Thanks, Jake. Happy March, everyone. Chelsea Groves here with the Collegian Basketball Breakdown. It's the final week of the regular season, and it's so hard not to think about the what-ifs when it comes to bracketology right now. But Butler still has 2 more regular season games left before the Big East tournament even starts. St. John's Wednesday night and Xavier on Saturday at the Cintas Center. A flashback to last week, the seeding conversation. The Bulldogs were a 7 seed in the Midwest according to ESPN's Joe Lenardi. And on Tuesday, he still has them as a 7, but in the East. The 7 seed reflects the unlucky breaks during the course of this season when it comes to injuries and the difficulties closing out tight games in the Big East. But here is why the Bulldogs are still safely in the NCAA tournament. Butler has a combined 13 Quad 1 and Quad 2 wins, tied for 6th in the nation, not to mention number 20 in the net rankings. Those 2 factors right there are crucial to the selection committee. And the Bulldogs also have a chance to finish the regular season 22-9 if they can pull out the last 2 regular season games. The overall body of work is what carries this Butler team, so don't get caught up in why Butler isn't competing for the Big East championship or is right outside of the AP top 25. Now, compare the present to what was expected of this team before the season even started. They didn't receive a single preseason AP vote. Head coach LaValle Jordan deserves all the credit in the world with the development of this program. He's actually on the Naismith Coach of the Year watch list. There were questions before the season even started about this team if they could even make the NCAA tournament. The question all season has been if Butler can be a Sweet 16 team now. With everybody healthy, nobody's forgotten about the 15-1 start that set the tone from the start. Jake, back to you.
Thanks once again, Chelsea. The softball team had an enjoyable trip to Virginia for the Liberty Classic. They returned home after going 4-1 on the weekend, improving the record to 12-4 so far this season. Big help came defensively from the Circle, where their pitching arsenal combined for a .82 ERA over the span of 34 innings. Alyssa Graves tossed 2 complete games, including Butler's 7-2 win over Eastern Carolina. Between these 2 matchups, she struck out an impressive 21 hitters. The offensive star of the trip was no doubt Maddie Moore. Over the weekend, she batted .600, drove in 3 runs, and tallied her first homer of the season. But let's not forget about Carly Ricketts, who slapped her 5th and 6th over the wall. She's making an early statement for Big East Player of the Year. Butler's only loss this time out was a 1-0 decision against Penn. They're down in Memphis for this upcoming weekend. Lastly, in women's hoops, they end the regular season with a sour taste in their mouths following a pair of losses on the road against St. John's and Seton Hall. Against the Red Storm, the 2 squads battled the entire evening, a total of 13 lead changes. Early on, Butler leading Kristen Spolier from deep, easy. Second quarter, Dogs go on an 8-0 run to go up 27-22. Skip ahead to the fourth, still close. Umu Torre underneath and gets it done. Under 30 seconds left now. St. John's down to Alyssa Alston straight to the hoop for the finish. We go to overtime. Johnny's with the lead now. Leilani Corre from downtown drains it. The Red Storm win it in OT, 85-80. Against the Pirates, Butler was hoping for a better result, but they couldn't find a way in New Jersey. Seton Hall up by 10 in the second. Shea Bry from 3 hits it, but the Pirates stayed in front. We head to the third. Dogs still trailing. Genesis Parker, she'd lead the team with 14 points, but the Pirates kept the foot on the gas. They take down Butler 66-53. Bulldogs finish conference play with an 11-7 record. They'll play a rematch with Seton Hall as the 5-4 seeds in the Big East tournament. Excited to see what they're able to put together in postseason play. But perhaps more importantly, we got spring break coming up. I'm really looking forward to it.
What are your plans?
I'm hoping that at some point I'll be able to get up to a friend's lake house in Michigan. I'm going back home for a couple of days first, but got to finish up things with an internship. So.
I'll be going to a lake as well, but a lake in Texas.
Ooh, that's going to be fun. A little bit warmer down there.
A little bit warmer, yeah. I think it's going to be like about 75, 80 degrees, and I'm taking my roommates with me. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. That'll be enjoyable.
Yeah, Austin, Texas, then we're going to spend a couple days in San Antonio. So yeah,
Good
I
stuff.
have an itinerary planned.
Yeah.
But that's all for this week's Butler Collegian Newscast. To stay up to date with all things news on Butler's campus, visit us at butlercollegian.com or on Twitter at Butler Collegian. I'm Catalina Gallegos.
And I'm Jake Bedell.
Have a great week, dogs.